Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. And I hope you enjoyed your Super Bowl Sunday. We never have a show on Super Bowl Sunday. I particularly enjoyed Kendrick Lamar's halftime show. Okay, it was fabulous. Um, his show beat out the King of Pop's show in viewings. Okay, he beat out MJ himself. At any rate, back to reality. Welcome back to Remixing Politics and Culture with me, your host, Pam. I am a public relations and marketing professional with a passion for social justice, voter advocacy, and culture. And so, these past 3 weeks, what can I say? They have just been utter chaos, right? I mean, somewhere between the Twilight Zone and a nightmare, or a little bit of both. That's what it's been like, at least for me. I cannot be the only person in America that is longing for the time before January 20th at 12 noon, 2025. I can't be. I am longing for how life was back then. My guests and I tonight are going to discuss the chaos that is our federal government. They are grassroots activists with something to say, and most of all, they are actual doers. They are people that do the work. They just don't talk the talk. They walk the walk. So first up, I have Loretta Thomas Walker. She is a retired logistics project manager who served over 36 years for the Department of Defense in Warren, Michigan. Her duties and responsibilities had her travel worldwide extensively to assure that federal regulations and procedures were met. Welcome back to the show, Loretta, my soror.
Hello, Pamela. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Very
Next
good.
up, we have is no stranger to the show. She's having some technical difficulties, so we may not see her pretty face, but we'll be able to hear her. She is a practicing doula and a super mom with 4 adult children and 7-year-old triplets. I don't know how she does it. Renee is a lifelong Democrat and was an assistant to one of President Biden's 2020 campaign staffers. She's run for political office herself while living in Texas. And now that she's back in her hometown of New York, the people are trying to recruit her to run again for elected office, and she's toying with the idea. So welcome back to the show, Renee Schalk.
Oh, thank you, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. Loretta, good to see you again. And Pam, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I hate we can't see you.
Oh, I know, but you'll get to hear all the good ideas. That's the most important
part. That's important. Maybe it'll come through at the 9th hour. And last but certainly not least, I have a newcomer to the show, Robert Zusch. He is a multifaceted community activist and leader and artist. He is based in Cumberland, Maryland, as the director of Safe Space Cumberland. He is a driving force behind LGBTQIA advocacy and support in Allegheny County, working to create safe, inclusive spaces for queer individuals of all ages. Robert's dedication to fostering community empowerment and outreach has made him a key figure in regional activism. Welcome to the show, Robert. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me, Pam. It's wonderful to be on.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you. Let's see. Have a few people saying hello. Hello, Brian Jones. Hello, Showy Howie. It's so crazy. How crazy is it? People are talking about okay. Showy is already starting. Showy is in the great state of Michigan, and I don't know where Brian is located, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so guess. Let's all take our collective deep breath. I took one earlier at the very beginning of the show, but let's all take our collective breath before we get started, because this subject, I'm just like hot all the time, mad constantly. I can't take it. So it really fires me up. So listen, I'm going to do a round robin with you guys and wanting each of you to answer. And Robert, I'm going to ask you first. Out of all of the madness that's happened these past 3 weeks, which was the most shocking thing that stood out to you that happened?
I think the most shocking thing to me over the past couple weeks is the degradation of human and civil rights. We talk about gutting DEI, we talk about everything exclusionary practices for women, we talk about Black marginalized voices. All of these civil rights and things we're seeing being kind of pushed aside under the rug and frankly going backwards, and that's not what we want. I think that's the most disturbing thing I've seen is humanity seems to be stepping backwards instead of stepping forwards.
Okay. All right. Renee, you next. What's been the most shocking thing that's happened that you feel has happened in the past 3 weeks?
That's shocking.
The most. What's
The
the
most.
that stood out the most for you?
I would say probably how quickly Elon got into our servers and start rummaging around. I expected them to do something, but the speed at which they did it was probably more shocking to me. So that the speed in which they're trying to deconstruct our democracy.
All right. And Loretta.
Exactly. My same feeling as far as Elon Musk. That was ridiculous how they locked them outside of the office when the government people who are elected to be there and locked them outside and had Elon and his goonies in there. How you gonna have them in there? They're not even elected. They're not even actual posed to be there because they don't even have qualifications. But yet you lock out the government officials, the people who we elected to be in there. That's insane. That needs to be argued a little bit much louder than what we're saying right now.
Right. You know what was weird about that too is that guy with the buzz cut, he was a contractor. He wasn't even a full-fledged employee.
Correct.
And what I grew to understand is that the people that were behind him, the inside of the place,
Yes.
that armed guards, they had on this allegedly they had on some type of symbolism on their hats or whatever that's part of Elon's goon squad or something.
Correct.
Did you guys hear that as well? Because I don't know what and what saw.
We saw it on television.
Yeah.
You saw it right there. This is ridiculous. All of this is ridiculous. And I am very upset with how things are happening with our country. We're about to go into a dictatorship if everybody isn't paying attention.
Right.
That's what angers me greatly, because the dictatorship won't be up under Donald Trump or even Elon Musk. It's going up under Vladimir Putin. I'm just going to say. Elon Musk is beholden to Vladimir Putin. And why aren't people paying attention to this? I could say things about, I'll just say it. Our elected officials, the people we have in office as Democrats, they need to sound the horn much louder than what they're doing. Yeah. Far much louder than what they're doing, because this is getting way over the top fast.
Yes.
We need to stop this and bring it back down.
I agree with you, Loretta. The only thing I will add is that we're giving the Republicans a pass. They are the ones who are actually preventing democracy from happening. I think we should be spending time knocking on their doors, making sure their constituents know that they're the reason why they won't get Social Security checks if, on time, or have cuts in their Social Security checks. They're the reason why farmers are not going to make that money for the year with USAID. They're the reason why Elon is able to do what he's doing, which is basically usurping the powers of the Congress. I mean, that's the other thing we need to be getting out there as well. Yes, be hard on the Democratic leaders, but they can do only so much. We need to hold the Republicans' feet to the fire. And it seems like we put so much energy in that, like not, I mean, into punishing the Democratic leaders, which they should take some responsibility. And they, of course, they're responsible for the way things are turning out. But it's really the Republicans, and we really need to hold them accountable too. Thank you.
I know I've been calling them. I've been calling both Republicans and Democrats, and I'm going to put the number in the chat, and I'm going to put it up on the screen, the congressional switchboard. You can call anytime, day or night. And if you know who you want to speak to or whatever, the computer will switch you to those offices and what have you. But there's no excuse. We can at least be doing that. And AOC says that the phone calls matter. Robert, you know, I'm going to go back to Loretta, but Robert, we've seen on social media where marginalized groups are facing a lot of extra criticism. It's almost like, oh, I can say whatever I want to you. I can exert any form of violence on you, whether it be with my words or hitting you or just blatantly discriminating against you. Have you all seen any uptick with that in your safe spaces among your community that you're serving?
We have. I'm going to tell you the biggest thing is what we just talked about. That's the real issue. Believe it or not, the real issue is overreach when it comes to power and everything like that. We talk about executive orders and everything else like that. I believe the attack on DEI in marginalized communities are not just an accident. It's planned. It is planned to make people look away from what they're actually doing, away from the fact that Elon just put cronies in there and just kind of let them run rampant. The fact that no one elected half of these people. The fact that we have confirmation hearings that just don't seem to be right. Do you know what I mean? There's questions and things that are not answered, and we look at Kash Patel, and he literally lied about his entire confirmation hearing. You know what I mean? I think that's the real issue, is they want a distraction, and I believe that the uptick is intentional, especially with the target towards transgendered lives. That is the biggest thing, because people it's a very sensitive topic for people, you know what I mean? And it affects all races, all colors, everything, every community. So I think that's really where they're kind of using that to try to navigate away from. But yes, I have seen a huge uptick.
Okay. Loretta, I want to circle back to you because you've got all of you have unique lenses, but you have a unique lens in that you work for the federal government for over 36 years. Fortunately, you retired on your terms, which I'm so thankful for, that you retired on your terms. And as a former Defense Department employee, what did you think about Pete Hegseth becoming the head of your former department?
First of all, he's not qualified. First of all, he was not even vetted the way he should have been vetted. When even an employee that goes into the federal government, we have to be vetted according to our qualifications and our background and as well as our resumes. We don't just get a job because we want a job for the federal government. They really go through a series of process and qualifications to see about us, and not just qualifications. They literally go through a lot of a streamline going through before you are hired as a federal government. They check and see if you have any records, if you have anything that's in your background that should be checked and questioned and answers like that. They actually really go through and try to determine. And then once you are hired, then you go through the process of trying to get into the jobs that you want to get into for the federal government. And that's another series of qualifications and things that you have to go through to prove and validate that you are here to work for the federal government. They make, when I worked for the federal government, when I first came to the federal government, we had to do the oath. We had to swear the oath and everything to the federal government. They don't do stuff nowadays. Well, let me just say it. They don't do it anyway for these Goonies that are in there right now.
Mhm.
First of all, they aren't even qualified. And Pete Hegseth, I don't even want to discuss that guy because somebody should take something and go take him out of there. That, to be honest with you, and that's as far as I can say on this podcast how I feel about that. But the process of going through, I love serving my country. I love serving my country. I love working for my country, and wherever I traveled, wherever I went, as far as everywhere, Japan, Russia, everywhere. I didn't go to Russia, thank God, but I went everywhere just about that you can pull out of your hat. I've been there, and even then, representing us as an employee for the federal government, making sure that I had everything correct, did everything right by the law, what we're supposed to do.
Right.
These folks here are not even trying to follow any kind of rules by the law. It's embarrassing what's happening to our country. It's embarrassing that these people here, these young men, and I hate to say it, but these young men here who have no idea of what they're trying to do for the country. They're just following whatever Elon Musk tells them to follow. Well, that's not so cool to begin with, because that guy is not even a legal resident. Let me just start with that as well. The qualifications that we have to go through to prove and validate who we are should be looked at as far as these little Goonies that he's got working there. I'm embarrassed and I'm very sadful because I know some friends of mine who are still working right now for the federal government. And some have already taken the buyout scenario. Some are trying to stay in there and try to hang on to this and try to see what's going on. And this is not good what's happening. And I am very thankful that I was able to leave on my terms when I wanted to leave. But I do feel for a lot of friends of mine who are still there.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Renee, with your being the super mom and the doula, bringing life into existence into the world and all of that, you have the closest direct involvement in early education and the plans that they have to just totally obliterate the Department of Education. What are some of your thoughts about that, Renee?
Well, actually, my personal perspective, and from people that I know who are actually teachers and are directly involved in the Department of Education across different states of the country, I think the thing that we need to do about that is shore up our local governments, shore up our local Department of Education or districts, school districts, and make sure we got competent people in place that will fight back and push against any of the radical things that are going on. I know there's several powerhouse women in Texas, for instance. One is named Tiffany Harris, and she is amazing. She has pushed back. She's doing a great job in making sure that her district, independent school district, is basically getting all the things that they need. Now, to go back to the bigger picture of what they're trying to do with the Department of Education across the United States, I say that their bigger picture is going to hurt more red states, quote, red states, than it will blue states. There's, if you Google it, if you look it up, the majority of states that receive the benefits from federal government for education are some of the poorest states. Mississippi, Kentucky, Alabama. You can go almost all the southern states. The least amount of funding that is provided by the federal government to states receives that funding from the feds is New York City is the last state.
Really?
So, yeah.
Before Massachusetts?
Yes. New York receives like 7%, 5% of federal funding for education. So New York City kids will probably be okay for a minute unless they try something different. And so they'll probably pull money from other places to help New York City students, public school students. And then also New York City has wealthy, or well-off families that attend public school and who will be willing to pull out of their pocket to make up for the difference that might not be there. So really what, Donald and Elon and his Elonics are doing is they're hurting the the constituents, Trumpsters' constituents, more so than they are getting at the libs, so to speak, and punishing the libs. Now, I think I'm one of those people who is big on F around and find out.
Yeah.
And so I think what's going to also help us get through this period is that he is not only hurting us, but he's hurting his base more than he's hurting most of the liberals that he wants to hurt, or the progressives, or whoever else is other than MAGA base. So they're going to start to feel it. They're already starting to feel it. They're also calling into their Congress people and pushing them and saying, what is going on? I mean, I thought they were going after them, not us. So the same thing is going to happen to the Department of Education. The other thing is too, I think a lot of people don't realize that, yeah, you can get a voucher to go to a charter school, but that voucher in most cases will not cover the full charter school tuition. So you're going to have to come out of pocket to figure out how you're going to pay for the rest of that tuition or school supplies. The other thing that they're thinking, well, if we get rid of public school, our property taxes will go down. I've heard people say this all the time. I don't have people in school, so why should I have to pay property taxes for schools? And what they're going to find out, not only will their property taxes not go down, they're probably going to go up, because they're going to have to make up that money somewhere else. And so what it's going to cost to send these kids and transfer them over and put in all the private stuff that they want. So yeah, it's a serious issue. But the thing is, it does not get serious to people until it hits home. And when it starts hitting home, when people start FAFO, then they're going to realize that we got to do something, and they're going to come running back to the Democrats to save them again.
I'm just so sick of that, and I think that we've got to figure that out. That's a whole nother thing. I put on the screen here the U.S. Congress switchboard 202-224-3121. You can call it day or night. And if you know who your Congress people are, or whoever it is you want to speak to, Lottie Dottie and everybody, Republican and Democrat, if you ask for them, it will switch you over to them, and you can leave a message or whatever. But I say, I have been calling every day. I'll make a call a day. I'll do a tweet or two a day, or whatever, because I'm sick of it. We have to do something. So we've got to do our own activism. Listen, guys, one thing that is just, I know that this bothers you all because we kind of have chatted about it before, but I really don't see the fierce urgency of now, like Dr. King talked about, the fierce urgency of now. I don't see, and I'm, Devin, I'm glad that you're in the chat from the NAACP in Garrett County in Maryland. I applaud you. However, I'm going to say, I have not heard from our national NAACP. I have not heard from the National Urban League. I have not heard anything. Since Miss Eiffel left the National Defense Fund, you don't hear anything about the NAACP National Defense Fund, Legal Defense Fund anymore. You just hear about the black, we call him the black Attorney General, Ben Crump. But we don't hear from the National Urban League, not National Urban League, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. So guys, that's my thing. There are people that are organizing all types of boycotts, fast food stores, and that type of thing. And they are getting real decent traction online. I know the Latinos are doing a heck of a job. I was in Ross stores yesterday, and typically when you go into a Ross on a Saturday, it is filled with Latino people. Honey, you could hear nobody was there. Nobody, no kids were running around, nothing. And it was a definite difference, okay, in that store. So I say all this to say, where are our legacy organizations? Where are our legacy organizations? Where are they? Good, Roxana, Keep calling your legislators.
Correct.
Pam,
Yeah.
I'm honestly gonna have to agree with you. I think the biggest problem is that we're having right now just we between organizations and grassroots activism is unity. Everybody seems to have gotten into their own groove over the past 4 years and everything, but we really a lot of people have forgotten and well it's laziness, frankly. You know what I mean? We are at a time that we need to be vigilant and we need to start really getting our roots down again. And it's not so much a celebration of who we have become, is it has to go back to being a fight because we're still fighting for these things. You know what I mean? We talked about the Department of Justice and how it's being reformed and how it all this seems to be kind of going under one thing, and that is that the executive branch is going to try to control everything. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then
Yes.
with that being said, I believe when it comes to, we talked about education as well. I absolutely believe that that is right. It will hurt their basis, but I think that that is the point. The point is to undereducate people so that they can pass laws. You know what I mean? That's the big thing.
Yeah.
It,
Loretta, go ahead.
it looks to me like right now there's a pause right now to watch what's going around. In the famous words of Renee, F around. But it looks to me like there's a pause going on right now. And in a minute, there will be something that will be catapulted out there into the system. There will be a couple of things that are going on right now. There are some plans that are in action that we are doing as a collective right now. But there's going to be more that's going to come down to the pipe. Right now, they're still waiting to see. There's still a wait and watch. There's things that are still going on. You watch what he threatened to do over there in Gaza. We're watching to
Oh
see.
my God. They
We're watching
already
to
got
see
the private contractors in there.
exactly.
Probably
That's
Blackwater.
ridiculous.
Exactly. That's one scenario. That's just one scenario. Then we have the other scenario that's going on right now over there in with Russia and our boy over there in Ukraine. That's another scenario that's going on right there with that. Right
Yeah.
now, there is a little bit of a time for us to just for a moment watch and see what's trying to transpire, and then we can strike at the right time. Right now, we're contacting our congressmen, like we said. We've been contacting Republicans, like we said. I saw someone mentioning there to call the number 5, yeah, to call 511 and do that as well. Yes. So we're already doing those issues. There will be a moment, and it's coming very soon, where we're going to have to do something. But right now, we need to continue to let them expose what they're doing. And then we get together, and then I hate to say it, but spank that booty properly.
Okay, our NAACP president in Maryland says, I hear you, Pam, and we're reaching out at the state and national NAACP level to share our concerns. But see, I even heard what's our boy's name with National Action Network?
Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton say, oh, we got 90 days. We're gonna in 90 days you'll hear our plan or whatever. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? 90 days. You knew in November what the deal would be. You knew in November. You knew. I stopped shopping at Walmart once I realized that they had given Trump so much money for his part 2 thing, and then they had the nerve to say they were going to do the DEI. So I said, forget it. No, that was in November, and it's been a shock to my system not going to Walmart, because Walmart was my jam for all my plants and little stuff like that. But I haven't been here.
I hear you, Pam.
And then I was going exclusively to Target. I love Target. I said, well, I guess I got to go to Target now. I just go to Target because there's really, you know what is so fascinating? I've always gone to Costco. I have a whole separate story about Costco, but there are really not any. We don't have many big box stores that aren't like hypermarkets, meaning they don't have like if I don't want to buy 400 rolls of toilet paper and I just want 20, you know what I mean? I just it's like all the mom and pops just got consolidated. You really see that now that we're shopping smartly and shopping to make our dollars work. You're seeing how we have lost so much retail.
Well,
Well, actually,
I would say, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Robert.
oh no, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I would say that someone mentioned how we're lazy. We are, as a society, American society, have become quite lazy about going the extra mile to make sure that I think it was you, Robert, that mentioned that, to go the extra mile to make sure that we're buying products that are good for our bodies, good for our environment, good for our families, good for the economy. So you have to look a little bit harder for a sort of a big box store that has a social bend to it. I could give you one, for example, at HEB in Texas is an amazing store. I wish they had one in New York City.
Yeah, we don't have one. I've never heard of it. And see, that's the problem. They're just certain stores that aren't national.
Yeah, so check into Kroger, check into the big supermarkets and stuff like that, where they're starting, you can get your essentials and see what their social bend is, what their mission statements are. I don't do Chick-fil-A because I do not, they're one of the first that did the DEI, and they don't, I mean, their chicken is good, but I don't like their mission. So you have to make these hard choices about, where you're going to put your dollars. And speaking of that, tomorrow there's going to be a big national push not to buy anything. It's because of President's Day. So they're asking people to abstain from using their dollars in places that would not hire them for President's Day. There's another huge one that I think on the 28th. Yes.
Right.
So, I mean, if you can't participate in the 17th one, at least on the 28th, that one to me which is a huge push that you should, anything you need, get it by the 27th. That's all I can say. Don't buy not anything. Don't order in, none of that stuff. Just chill at home. So
yeah.
Listen
to this. Here's a comment. What do you think about the large number of African Americans who do not plan to do civil disobedience marches or phone calls to their representatives because they feel that they've already done enough for the Democratic Party? It's not for the Democratic Party. It's for you, boo. I mean, it's for your own. It's for you. It's not about the party. It's for you. It's for your own livelihood. Okay, it's not even about a party thing at that point. At this point, Let's see.
I personally am a centrist, so I don't believe really in either party when it comes down to this whole debacle of it. You know what I mean? I try to take a centrist approach, and it's really more about the people, like you said. It's for you. It's not for either party. It's not to make any political candidate any more better than the other one. It's really about standing up for your own civil rights, your own liberties, and your own right to choose democracy over dictatorship.
Don't run out and buy a lot of stuff on the 27th. Let's look deeper. Why do they want power to go back to the states? We'll be back in the good old days. They really want the old days of Jim Crow or whatever. Just erase a whole bunch of people. Right there.
Right there. You talked about it. Right there. You just hit the nail on the head. So unfortunately, because I live in a Democratic state, and where I live is mainly Republican. It's pretty red up here, and we live in literally the hills of Appalachia. So yeah, when the Trumpers get up here, they're very devout for their beliefs. But that's why we see a lot of them backing out and things like that. But that's kind of what that push is. You see that strict divide between humanitarian effort and people that want democracy and then people that want that old school Jim Crow oppression.
Mm-hmm.
That right there. You said it exactly right there.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I want to share with you guys something that I know that my guests are down for, but I think that you all will be interested in seeing this too if you haven't seen it on national news, because Michael Steele, he used to be the RNC party chairman, and he gives it all right here. Let me share this with you. There he is. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Oh, can you see it?
Pam, is it on? Is it running?
Pam, we don't see anything. Pam, we didn't see anything.
Oh, you didn't? Oh
No.
no.
No, we didn't catch it.
Did you hear it?
No.
No.
Oh my good. Oh, I'm so sorry. I heard it, but you didn't hear it. What in the world happened?
No, we couldn't hear. We couldn't see it either. I think maybe share it again if you can.
I don't know how that happened though. I don't know. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if it'll do this. Oh, it was so good too, guys. It was hold on, let me see.
Actually, you know what? I just like you to show that you give a damn, that you got a little emotion.
Now we can see it.
Yeah.
Do that again. We can see it then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Michael Steele was a bit emotional there and said, just show that you care or that you give.
If you are still running it, you took it off by accident. We saw it the first time, but then we didn't see the rest of it.
Okay. So we don't have anything right now.
Did you see it?
No.
No, we saw the beginning and then
Yeah,
you took it off. Somehow it went off.
What?
Yeah.
Give up. But I don't know. I'm so sorry, guys. Listen, you can tell this is live. I'm sorry. But had anybody seen that on TV with Michael Steele? Had you guys seen it?
I've seen some excerpts from him a couple of weeks ago when he was talking. People need to be more vetted. They need to be more involved in everything. You know, and I think he was talking about some of our elected officials. They need to be involved, which is interesting to me
He
because
talked about the little boy in the office that told him you didn't belong there. Your daddy said it. he said that he's in your bedrooms, he's in all your stuff, your business, and not just from X. I mean, he read the right. That is the kind of energy that we need. That gets people out and mobilized to the streets and fights back this stuff.
Yeah, I watch The Weekend every weekend, and Michael Smith still always brings it. That's the one show I'll get up for. It's like 2 to 3 hours long, but I'll get up for that show and I'll watch it. And Michael Steele never holds back. I don't know why he's not hired to lead some of this against what's going on. I know he's got a day job, and he probably would rather not get too involved in politics any longer because he used to be the chair of the Republican Party. So he's just like, y'all not listening to me. I'm trying to tell you what they're doing. Y'all better pay attention. Love him.
Yeah.
Well, he's not the only one that's out there voicing a concern. Pam, my favorite, of course, is Malcolm Nash.
Oh, yeah. And I have Malcolm too, but I'm scared. Will it come through? I might have to.
Our center was actually built on Malcolm X's words, "For us, by us."
Very good. Because Malcolm Nash has put it out there plain.
Yes.
What's going on in this country right now. And again, he served overseas over in a lot of scenarios. And even though just recently in Ukraine, he was over there fighting for them in the beginning stages.
He sure was. I remember that he had on his gear and I remember, you know what? I remember that, Loretta. I remember that. He is a really brave dude. Let me see if that'll come up. And y'all, somebody have to speak up louder and tell me if it doesn't come through. God dog it. I tell you. Hold on. Let me see if I can let's see.
I'd like Malcolm to run for office, to be honest with you.
Oh, he's something else. He's something else. Let's see. Do you see this page right now?
We see the page.
Okay, now I'm pressing the thing.
We don't hear anything.
Okay, it's not. Okay. Let me cut that off. I don't know what I done wrong this time. I don't know what I did. And anywho, I don't know what I did with my sharing. At any rate, that Malcolm Nance is the name, guys. I'm gonna put it in the chat for you all to look him up.
Yes. Malcolm has been sounding the alarm now for several months now on his podcast as well. And
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that you guys made your way after him, because Malcolm is speaking exactly what's happening right now.
Yes.
It's very, very distinctive, hardcore discussion, because at this point, Malcolm is telling us call to action.
Yes.
He's actually telling us that we might have to show up on the beach with him and take our country back.
Yes, he's talking about not by we might all have to become soldiers. In other words, that's the way he's saying it. Okay, Renee, you gave us here's the link to Michael Steele Facebook share. Okay. So you guys catch that from the chat and you can come in there. Let's see. Good evening, Kajana West, founder of the Safe Space. Cumberland. Oh, this is the lady you were telling me about. Right, Robert? Robert, I think you're on mute.
Yes, this is my boss. She's absolutely amazing. We would not have sent her without her.
Okay, awesome. Hello, Kay West. Hello. Let's see. Zach says, too bad Steele didn't have that same energy when Obama was president. Well, you know what? I have a philosophy about a lot of Black men when Obama became president, namely Tavis Smiley. There's a lot of jealousy when Obama came, and just, he was suave and cute and all of that. and prior to that, Tavis was the black prince that talked well and was attractive and all of that, and then all of a sudden Obama came and just blew up everything, and it was never the same.
Thank God. Thank God. I'm sorry. I am not a Tavis Smiley fan. I'm not at all. So there won't be any sympathy on my part about that.
And Loretta, once again, people think Black people are monolith. We all have separate tastes, but the one thing I can say about the African American community is that when the stuff hits the fan, we really know how to rally and take care of our community. We have to be down in the trenches, though, seriously down in the trenches for us to really do anything to make that extra push. And actually, we have to push our allies too, because we can't do it by ourselves. It should not always fall on Black people to do this. It should not always fall on Black women to do
Black
this.
women, I was going to say, let's say Black women.
Yes.
And truly, you know what skill is. Robert, you know what time it is, right?
Yeah. But unfortunately, we got to do it, you all. We don't have a choice here. We are setting in motion right now, as you've already said, Renee. There are things that are going to happen on certain dates that we are looking for it to happen anyway. We're setting that in motion. There's other things that's happening. I believe right now, some of our quote unquote leaders are waiting patiently for that 90 days. I believe they're waiting to see everything that's going to show its ugly head in the Trump administration. And then we can slap down on that scenario and what they're doing. I believe right now we're doing our economic, we're doing a small part. And believe me, I don't want to say it's small, but when we do what we're going to do on that economic day and make that difference, that's starting one. Then starting two, there'll be another activity that's going to happen as well in March. There are things that are going to start happening, but all within that 90 days we're waiting to see everything. These dudes have already published what they said they're going to do in 2025.
Yeah.
But they haven't published everything yet. And so we're seeing little glimpses of what they're trying to do. Just you wait and see.
And Russell Vought, there was an interview with Russell Vought behind closed doors before they elected him.
Yes.
Before they placed him in the position that he is in. He talked about the 180-day playbook, and then he talked about private plans behind it. So
Correct.
I agree with you.
There are things that are going to start showing. I've told my friends and my family members, because I've been serious about this, back when that dude got elected in November 5th, and I did not believe that date. Still don't believe it. Still believe there's something going on with that, but that's another subject matter, not for here. I told my friends then, start stocking and start piling up, because it's going to get really nasty and real ugly, and we need to be ready so that that's the least of our concerns. There's other things that we have to start doing that we're going to have to get active about doing. And yes, I'm with Malcolm Nash. We might have to become the serious soldiers. Can you imagine, people? Think about this. Someone's showing up at your front door because they feel that they're empowered to do so. What would the average person do at that point? Well, I'm prepared for them to show up, and it won't be pretty.
I agree.
And that's the other thing.
I can't say I'm going to react well.
And that's the other thing. This is not like back in 1800s where most Black folks and most women did not own guns. They think they're the only ones that own guns or own some way to protect themselves. And so it's not going to, I hope it doesn't come to that, but it's not going to be the same, because we're not just going to be dragged out, hanged, whatever, put in a wagon, whatever the case may be. But, I believe that we need to get into our silos, though. That doesn't mean you can't, venture out and get involved in big progressive moves. But I think we need to get in our silos. And I think, Pam, you wanted me to talk about the fact that I created what I call the Underground Blue People, a Facebook group.
Yes.
and on Facebook. And we're going to actually, we have somebody, one of the admins is actually really good at designing platforms and stuff like that. So he's designing or working a platform to make it usable that we can take our group off of Facebook that is similar to Facebook, because everybody knows that Threads and Blue Sky, they're a different kind of platform than Facebook. So there's really nothing else comparable to Facebook out there. So, and a lot of people like it. It's comfortable. You can tell stories, share pictures, and blah, 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 blah. So he's working on something for us to move our group out. But basically what our group is, it's called the Underground Blue Tribe. And so basically it's anybody who's like-minded, who is a strong Democrat, anybody who did not vote for that guy, anybody who doesn't support any of the ideology but supports humanity and stuff. And so what we do is we share information. We share information to other groups. We share information about people who own local businesses that are like-minded people too. We share information about resources. You know, for example, there was one person who was looking for a job for her son. And so we asked in the group, does anybody own a business that is owned by somebody who is a blue person that can set. And we just whatever suggestions were made, we gave it to her and she could do whatever she want with it. I mean, it's that kind of support. I share a lot of stuff about how I think people should start growing their own herbs and vegetables. I mean, if you got a window, start doing some herbs and vegetables in your apartment, your house, or if you have a backyard, get more sustainable, self-sufficient, because with these tariffs and everything else that's going on, prices are people are complaining about prices now. They haven't seen anything until the tariffs hit. You will really feel what high prices are like. Matter of fact, because of the egg shortage, there are places in Atlanta. I have a cousin who lives in Atlanta, and she says she doesn't find eggs in the store. Forget the prices. She can't even find eggs. And this is the other thing that people believe, that there's an egg shortage because of bird flu. Well, bird flu is a thing, but that's not why we have egg shortages. We've had bird flu under Biden. We've had bird flu under other presidents. And what they do is they know how to handle bird flu, but still keep up the supply of eggs. The supply of eggs have not gone down. It's the greedy, people who raise chickens and eggs who are keeping the prices high, or raising it because they see the hysteria that's out there. So then again, become self-sufficient, more sustainable. Also in the group, we give people information for other groups and links and things. There is a group that I belong to for at least since 2020. And what they do is, and they're very deep down on the ground and private, because this is people's lives. They've been helping women find abortion care outside of Texas. They have connections all over the nation, and they transport, raise money, get people to safe spaces to have abortions. So those are the kind of things that my group does, is that we put them in connection with other resources and other people. I'm starting to separate it by states too, because we have people in different states. And so as we grow, we incorporate more. But this is my way of saying, we have to work underground,
Right.
to take care of us
Right.
as a people, whoever that may look like. But we still got to be very active above ground to make sure they understand that we're not just sitting here waiting for something to happen to us.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, well, we're getting close to that time. Any last thoughts or words that anybody wants to say? We've had some really great activity in the chat, and some names that I've never seen before, like Maymet Dolberry and Good and Sheer Report. I've not seen you before. Listen, everybody, wherever you're viewing the show from, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're on YouTube, please hit thumbs up and subscribe. Help support the channel. I really would appreciate it. It's a free way to support. Let's see. There's an active group that is spreading news about liberal businesses. Okay. Yeah, and you know what? Here's the other thing though. I'm gonna tell you about some of the groups. Unless you have tight regulations on them where you're really paying attention who's getting in, you will get some infiltrators into things. Because I have a very private group too that I started during when Trump was running the first time. And it was interesting. I know that I had a lot of I guess what you would call Russian interference. It was a lot. It was so blatant then on the internet at that time. And I don't know. I think that they've gotten slicker with things with AI and stuff now. They just have just gotten smarter. That's all.
Hey
Again,
Pam, I'm gonna speak on that real quick. You are absolutely right. Our group is airtight. You have to either friend us. You have to do three things. You have to friend us. Somebody else has to vouch for you. Your page has to be vetted. I mean, like somebody physically, one of the admins goes in and look at your page, and if they see anything squeaky, and you have to have a referral, and then we'll let you in. That's
yeah,
it. So you just can't get in. You just
that's
can't ask.
privilege too. And I've kicked people out, and I don't like. I have some friends, God bless them. They'll say, "Oh, well, you need more people or whatever." No, I don't. You know what? Because I'm gonna tell you something. For anybody, the people that really do all of the work, it's not a whole lot of everybody. The everybody's follow, but the people who really do the work, it is a core group. Okay, it's not that big. It's not like a gazillion people, because what happens is it's very funny about with those groups. You'll find that people will take over those groups. It's believe it or not, Facebook groups can get political. Political in the sense that you've got people lobbying for position and taking over and stuff. But at any rate, I wanted to give you guys each a chance to wrap it up, to say something that's on your heart and minds. And I apologize, guys, for all the videos not working or not sharing properly. But we've had difficulties this whole stream with StreamYard. I need to let them know. So any last thoughts, Loretta?
Yes. Yes, there will be enemies in the camp. Do you all remember those phrases? Enemy in the camp. There will be enemies in the camp, and we have to definitely make sure we check out for that. But please know that we are doing things top level, and there are things happening underground as well. But the question of the hour is that when will everybody join in collectively and get going with us on this? Because there are things that are setting in place right now, but we have to be very cautious about how we move amongst ourselves as well as the others as well. And when I say the others, I believe you know who I'm talking about. And so be encouraged, take heart. I'll say Joshua chapter 1, verse 9, be strong and be of good courage. God is with us.
Okay. Robert?
Just to piggyback off of what Loretta said, it's really just about really understanding the movement, where we're moving together. It's not moving separate, it's moving together, and really getting those grassroots organizations all around to really work together and create safe spaces for one another. That way they can communicate and do the work that needs to be done.
Right.
Other than that, that's about it.
All right. Okay. Renee, last thoughts?
Yeah. Don't despair. I know it seems like there's so much coming at us that we can't handle it, but do not despair. Actually, we've put them back on their footing a little bit because of all the judicial filings. They weren't ready for that. They thought that it would take months for us to get our filings together and get results. Well, we're getting results quicker than we've ever had from courts. So things are happening. I'm on the video. Okay, that's one of my triplets. But anyway, as I was saying, um, as I was saying, there have been a lot of filings that have made a difference. We don't think it has made a difference, but it's making a difference. Does it have teeth to it? We won't know yet. Pay attention to what's going to happen with Judge Ho in New York City, whether or not Judge Ho is going to accept that dismissal of Eric Adams' charges or not.
Yeah.
And so pay attention to that. And once we know what because Judge Ho doesn't have to accept it. Judge Ho can say, nope, I'm not accepting it. I want a hearing on why this case should be dismissed. So just pay attention to that. See if that happens. If that happens, you know, we got some examples of how we are going to seriously push back, because the judicial system is what we got right now. So yeah, don't despair. It's not over. It's hard work, but it's not over.
Yeah. And Devin Baroga, I want you can find me on social media real easy, because I want to you're in Maryland. Robert, do you know?
Yeah, I can send you his information. I work with Devin personally, so I can send his information for you.
Okay, because I probably want to have Devin on the show, because this NAACP and the legacy organizations, for me, we really got to talk. Okay, we really need to have some discussions. But listen, guys, I appreciate you all so much. If anybody has, if you're aware of anybody that will be good for the show, I have been looking for psychologists and psychiatrists that have a good understanding of behavioral therapy and things like that, because I really want to talk about Donald Trump's mental illness. And it's funny, and yet it's not funny, because it's impacting all of us, because he's a very sick man, and you know, he's a sick man, and I think Vance is too, and
Musty Boy as well.
Oh yes,
most definitely.
Musty Boy is at the top of my list.
He and Trump are very similar, very similar. But at any rate, and so I'm always open to having new guests, people introducing me to people or whatever, because the only way this thing works is that you have to be able to share the information widely and broadly, to get people to think, to get people to know what's going on, because a lot of people don't consume news. They don't read it, they don't listen to it, none of that. And until it's too late. So at any rate, until next week, I will see you all later. Take care. Let's wave everybody off and say good night, guys.
Good night. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.